EU leaders need to stop bickering with drug-making companies, in particular Anglo-Swedish firm AstraZeneca, over coronavirus jab supply according to the UK's vaccination guru. The claim was made by Kate Bingham, who headed the highly successful UK vaccine task force tasked with obtaining jabs for Britain. The EU is demanding AstraZeneca increase vaccine supply to the bloc whilst some leaders, such as France's Emmanuel Macron, have raised false doubts about its effectiveness. Speaking to the Financial Times, Ms. Bingham said, "The bickering just layers uncertainty in people's minds, so it needs to stop." Meanwhile, Brussels has been accused of shooting itself in the foot in a foolish attempt to punish the UK for Brexit. The claim was made by the Facts4 EU think tank, which noted EU exports to Britain fell faster than to the end of the world compared with last year. Facts4 EU pored over figures supplied by the bloc's statistics department, Eurostat, and came up with some conclusions which will make uncomfortable reading for European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. With restrictions imposed to slow the spread of COVID-10 having impacted exports the world over last year, Facts4 EU's investigation nevertheless uncovered a striking difference when comparing those from EU countries to the rest of the world, and to the UK. Between January 2020 and January 2021, exports to the rest of the world fell by 10.8%, however, during the same time frame, exports to the UK fell by 27.4%. Nor was this adequately explained by pre-Brexit stockpiling in December 2020, Facts4 EU's analysis suggests, given these were just 14.2% higher than normal according to the Office for National Statistics, ONS, not enough to balance the 27.4% figure. Facts4 EU's editor-in-chief Lee Evans said, "Is the EU shooting itself in the foot in order to punish Brexit Britain? Without the UK's exports to the EU's already lamentable vaccination performance would sink yet further. In no way can the EU claim any high ground in this mess. They have been exposed, red in tooth and claw for the whole world to see." Does Brussels really want to see UK companies and consumers buy more from anyone but the EU? Considering the reasons behind the dramatic fall in the EU's exports to the UK compared to the rest of the world, Mr. Evans suggested there had been a significant shift in British public opinion when it comes to buying products made in the EU. He explained, "Our sense is that the public still feel warmly towards the citizens in the countries involved in the sclerotic EU enterprise. Love Europe, hate the EU is still a common refrain. The problem lies with the unelected bureaucrats in Brussels, and certain nationalist leaders of EU countries such as Monsieur Macron of France. It would be a great shame if the citizens of the EU 27 countries suffer job losses and hardship as a result of these politicians and unelected and extremist ideologues, but if this appalling behavior continues any longer, we suspect that Brexit Britain will turn even faster to its friends around the world for its products, in preference to those from the EU." 5:07 a.m. update, Boris to give green light to resumption of foreign travel in time for summer holidays. Boris Johnson is set to lift restrictions on foreign travel, allowing holiday makers time abroad for summer, it is claimed. Currently the government has banned all non-essential foreign travel until May 17. Anyone found to be heading abroad without good reason during that period is liable to a £5,000 fine. However, the Prime Minister will announce on Monday that he will replace the near-blanket ban on foreign travel with a new traffic light system, the Mail on Sunday suggests. 3:57 a.m. update, Keir fielding Remainer in Brexit constituency, will Labour never learn? Macer Hall. HARTLEPOOL's looming by-election is casting a long shadow over Sir Keir Starmer on his first anniversary in his post this weekend. The Labour leader, who took over from hard-left Jeremy Corbyn a year ago tomorrow, has good reason to fret about his party's chances of hanging on to the seat in the May 6 poll. By any usual measure, Labour's hold on Hartlepool should be as watertight as the teak hull of HMS Trincomalee, the restored frigate from the era of Admiral Lord Nelson afloat in the town's harbour. Yet as in much of the party's so-called Red Wall former heartland territory in the north of England, votes have been seeping away for years. Crew members are questioning whether Captain Starmer is capable of fixing the leaks. 2:20 a.m. update. Even France admits Brexit victory as no border trade chaos found, no disruption. France has admitted Project Fear warnings of border chaos have not materialized, with a new report confirming no disruption. The post-Brexit trade agreement between London and Brussels, which came into force on January 1, has meant some companies have had to deal with new bureaucracy and rules. But a report from France's Ministry of Action and Public Accounts says customs clearance was carried out much faster than in years past, with an average time of immobilization of goods falling from 13 minutes in 2004 to 2 minutes 31 seconds in 2021. 1:20 a.m. update. EU panic. Thatcher's aide warned bloc wanted painful Brexit as Croatia quit. Fears rose. The European Union wanted a painful Brexit to ward off other nations from leaving the bloc, Margaret Thatcher's aide claimed, as fears Croatia could follow the UK emerged. Brussels has been engulfed in a raging civil war, as member states turn on the European Commission, and its President Ursula von der Leyen, for the bloc's poor handling of the coronavirus vaccine rollout. Figures show that the EU has performed miserably when compared to nations such as the UK, with the bloc's apparent slow uptake on approving jabs, and issues with production, plaguing their vaccine plans. The UK has administered around 44.7 vaccines per 100 citizens, while the EU lags behind on 12. 9 jabs for every 100, recent data showed. Reports suggest that as a result of its botched program, Euroscepticism is on the rise inside the bloc, particularly when envious glances are made to the UK. 12:14 a.m. update. EU on brink, Sweden told to grasp golden opportunity and curtail bloc ties for UK deal. The European Union was under threat after a panel of politicians and academics demanded the likes of Sweden and Denmark curtail their links to Brussels, and grasp the golden opportunity to create their own custom-made agreement with partners like the UK. Brexit saw the UK unshackle itself from the EU, meaning it can now control its own laws, trade agreements and waters. With the UK able to make its own decisions, the benefits have recently appeared positive, particularly as the EU grapples with its internal vaccine rollout crisis. While the EU squabbles to find jabs, the UK has surged past rivals and is currently completing a continent-leading program, which has seen millions of vaccines being handed out to Britons. 10:06 p.m. update. EU risks being rocked by chaos as Bulgaria headed for hung parliament, exit polls. The EU could face another unstable member state after exit polls from the Bulgarian election indicate incumbent Prime Minister Boyko Borisov will fall short of a majority. Whilst Mr. Borisov, and his center-right Gerb party, are expected to emerge as the largest faction, they may struggle to put a governing coalition together. Fury over corruption scandals looks set to allow a number of smaller populist parties into parliament. 7:47 p.m. update. Fishing fiasco. Scotland could be dragged back into the EU's nightmare CFP, warns insider. Brexit has given fishermen increased freedom, but there is great anxiety the industry in Scotland could be damaged if Nicola Sturgeon pushes to rejoin the EU. Throughout Brexit, fishermen criticized the European Common Fisheries Policy, CFP, and there is concern they could be dragged back into it, one industry insider has revealed. Speaking to Express.co.uk, Chief Executive of the National Federation of Fishermen's Organisations Barry Dees warned there was great concern the industry in Scotland could be harmed if Ms Sturgeon takes the country back into the EU. Commenting on the possibility of Scottish fishermen returning to the policy, Mr Dees said, "I think there's great anxiety that the Scottish industry would be dragged back into the common fisheries policy." 6:25 p.m. update. France faces fishing ban from English Channel, Jersey sends Macron warning. Jersey has issued an ultimatum to France, warning some vessels would face a complete ban from fishing in their waters in just over 2 months if they do not get licenses. Jersey has not yet struck a long-term post-Brexit fishing agreement allowing French vessels to fish in English Channel waters. Instead, temporary arrangements for fishing in Jersey's waters were finalized by island authorities with an amnesty period extended until June 30 after the end of the transition period following demands from the EU. 5:29 p.m. Update, Andrew Neil eviscerates Macron over claims he is seething Brexit didn't collapse UK. Andrew Neil has torn into Emmanuel Macron and backed up claims the under-fire French president is seething at Britain not collapsing after Brexit. The veteran broadcaster has supported an argument put forward by a leading French historian, who insists Mr. Macron is angry the UK has not crumbled outside of the European Union. John Kager, professor of French history at the University of Cambridge, added the French president is consumed with jealousy at Britain's vaccination rollout. 4:20 p.m. Update, EU urged to stop bickering with COVID vaccine makers. European politicians have been urged to stop bickering with coronavirus vaccine suppliers, particularly AstraZeneca, which is making the Oxford University jab. The call was made by Kate Bingham, who headed Britain's successful vaccine task force. EU leaders have attacked AstraZeneca after it supplied less jabs than hoped, whilst French President Emmanuel Macron raised false doubts about its effectiveness. Addressing the Financial Times, Ms. Bingham commented, "It is very worrying for people, especially on the continent, who are vulnerable. You need to be sure that the vaccines are safe and that if you take the vaccine, you will get protected. The bickering just layers uncertainty in people's minds, so it needs to stop. We need to get those people who are vulnerable vaccinated." 3:05 p.m. Update, thanks, Ursula. UK's booming vaccine program has EU chief VDL to thank, says expert. Ursula von der Leyen's incompetent heading up of the EU's calamitous vaccination program inadvertently kickstarted the UK's booming vaccine industry, an expert has claimed. Prominent financial columnist Matthew Lind said prior to the COVID pandemic, Britain was never a major vaccine supplier. That all changed last month when Brussels threatened to block exports of Oxford's AstraZeneca vaccine in a jealous rage over Brexit. Britain's rollout success. James Bickerton takes over live reporting from Kieran McGrath. 2:08 p.m. Update, BBC's Laura Kunzberg awkwardly corrected on air after she discussed celebrating Brexit. BBC political editor Laura Kunzberg was awkwardly cut off on air during her introduction on a new episode of Brexitcast as she discussed celebrating the 3-month anniversary of Brexit. Laura Kunzberg was awkwardly interrupted on air during her introduction on the BBC's 3-month Brexit anniversary edition of its podcast Brexitcast. The BBC political editor reflected on the Brexit anniversary and remarked the BBC team were back together to celebrate Britain's departure. However, fellow BBC journalist and chief BBC News political correspondent Adam Fleming interjected and said they were there to mark the anniversary. 1:31 p.m. Update, cautious Joe Biden to back Brexit. Britain instead of bully EU despite Nero. Joe Biden is more likely to side with Britain rather than the EU in the ongoing Northern Ireland row, according to an expert. Director General of the think tank Center for Brexit Policy John Longworth argued U.S. President Joe Biden has been very cautious in his statements regarding the row between the UK and EU over the Northern Ireland Protocol. During an interview with Express.co.uk, Mr. Longworth insisted President Biden will see that the EU is the one breaking the protocol, not the UK. He noted President Biden was well aware of the inner workings of the Good Friday Agreement and how it works. 1:15 p.m. Update, Thatcher's aide warned Bloc wanted painful Brexit as Croatia quit. Fears rose. The European Union wanted a painful Brexit to ward off other nations from leaving the bloc, Margaret Thatcher's aide claimed, as fears Croatia could follow the UK emerged. Brussels has been engulfed in a raging civil war, as member states turn on the European Commission, and its President Ursula von der Leyen, for the bloc's poor handling of the coronavirus vaccine rollout. Figures show that the EU has performed miserably when compared to nations such as the UK, with the bloc's apparent slow uptake on approving jabs, and issues with production, plaguing their vaccine plans. The UK has administered around 44.7 vaccines per 100 citizens, while the EU lags behind on 12.9 jabs for every 100. Recent data showed 12:42 p.m. update. Poll. After expert hits out at economic burden, does UK need Scotland? With the Holyrood elections barely a month away, First Minister Nicola Sturgeon is stepping up her independence push, but with one expert today suggesting Scotland is actually a burden on British taxpayers. Today Express. Co.uk are being asked, would the UK be better off without it? SNP leader Mrs. Sturgeon is attempting to frame the May 6 poll as a de facto referendum in itself, and if her party achieves an overall majority, will claim she has a mandate to force UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson to call a second referendum, or a so-called Indirect 2. However, speaking to Express.co.uk, John Longworth, a former Brexit Party MEP and the Director-General of the Centre for Brexit Policy think tank, said it might not matter much if Scotland did go it alone. He explained, I don't think England and Wales would be at all impacted by Scottish independence to any great degree, in relation to its economic performance. 12:16 p.m. update, take Brexit by the horns. Boris slammed for not taking advantage of freedoms out of EU. Boris Johnson has been criticised by a leading Brexiteer for not taking full advantage of our new freedoms out of the EU. Vocal Eurosceptic John Redwood this morning demanded to know why, months after the transition period ended, Mr. Johnson hasn't turbocharged Brexit Britain. The Conservative MP, who has long called for the UK to free itself from Brussels shackles, spoke as the country's vastly successful vaccine rollout outshines the EU's bumbling effort. He tweeted, challenge to ministers, what have you done to take advantage of our new freedoms out of the EU? When do we get the tax cuts, the rebuilding of the UK's fishing and farming industries, the intelligent use of UK public sector buying and policy to create more jobs in the UK? 12:12 p.m. update, Andrew Neil silences numpty Remainer over UK flag criticism with brutal Twitter attack. Andrew Neil has silenced a Remainer with a ferocious Twitter put down during a row over placing the Union flag. The veteran journalist attacked the Europhile after they claimed placing flags on items was unpleasant and quite intimidating, despite flaunting the EU flag in their own Twitter profile. The former This Week host's brutal shutdown came after North Hampshire for Europe FBPE account tweeted a picture of Mornflake's Mighty Oats which prominently display the Union flag. The account's profile picture is a pro-EU graphic, while the username also features an EU flag. 9:35 a.m. update, Starmer crisis as 60% of party members want to rejoin EU, poll. Nearly two-thirds of Labour members want Sir Keir Starmer to overturn democracy and fight to rejoin the EU, according to a poll. Remainers reacted with glee to the news this morning, with many voicing their hopes the result could help overturn 2016's historic referendum result. It came after a YouGov survey found 59% of Labour members polled thought they should campaign on the issue compared to just 15% who said they should not. This comes despite Sir Keir's vocal desire to move his party on from the Brexit debate as it desperately seeks to re-establish its former northern strongholds. 9:18 a.m. update, they finally get it. EU banking chief seeing sense over Brexit's financial revolution. EU chiefs are finally seeing sense for London's objective to achieve a post-Brexit financial revolution with an equivalence agreement with the EU. José Manuel Campa, chair of the European Banking Authority, admitted the UK was a very important partner in the financial world. It comes as a new Memorandum of Understanding (MO) arrangements for a new post-Brexit financial services agreement stopped short of implementing any new access arrangements allowing banking, insurance and legal advice to be exported to the bloc. Instead, it is expected a new forum will be developed where both sides will meet twice a year to discuss policy. 8:42 a.m. update, EU is a ticking time bomb. Britain's mock EU after expert warns of economic obliteration. Apocalyptic predictions about the woeful state of the EU's economy has provoked a stinging reaction from Britons. Hundreds flocked to comment on express.co.uk after an economic expert revealed the bloc's banking system was teetering on the brink of collapse. Director General of the think tank Centre for Brexit Policy John Longworth argued this was set to cause serious economic decline throughout the bloc. Fortunately for the UK, which is now totally free of Brussels' suffocating bureaucracy, it can forge a much more successful path, he said. 8:17 a.m. update. Brexit can be a win-win, says Airbus chief. Aerospace giant Airbus is planning to step up production in post-Brexit Britain, the company's chief executive has said in a massive boost for Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Guillaume Faury predicted a win-win situation, while lamenting the uncoordinated state of air travel in Europe. Mr. Faury, speaking to the Daily Telegraph, hinted at the possibility of the company building a replacement fleet of helicopters in the UK, if it wins the MOD contract. He said, "We want to grow in the UK, we will be willing to do more than we are doing today, to have a win-win for the UK and Airbus." 7:52 a.m. update. UK gets revenge on Brussels for playing stupid games as EU's punishment plan backfires. A Conservative peer has explained how Britain can get our revenge on the EU as he warned that Brussels was shooting itself in the foot by playing games with the UK. Tory peer Lord Moylan explained the European Union's protectionism will backfire badly on the bloc. He predicted Britain will leave the EU behind as Britain has its revenge on Brussels. Speaking on Talk Radio, host Kevin O'Sullivan questioned the Conservative peer on how Britain could retaliate against the EU's red tape and blockades. Lord Moylan said, "While they are playing games with us, the people who are suffering from their protectionism are actually their own consumers. If they make imports difficult to get hold of, it is their own people that suffer and their own businesses that need those imports." 7:29 a.m. update. Fears as hijacked cars set on fire in Northern Ireland after rioting. Riots in Northern Ireland continue for a second night as protesters set on fire hijacked cars, according to reports. 3 cars were hijacked and lit on fire in the Loyalist O'Neill Doag Road area of Newtonabbey on Saturday evening. Video footage shows cars being burned and rioters targeting a police van. According to the BBC, police were attacked with petrol bombs and fireworks in the area. At about 8 p.m., a crowd of 30 to 40 people blocked a roundabout with 2 burning cars. 7:19 a.m. update. Huge surge in support for Brexit as hopeful Brits turns against vengeful EU. The latest polling shows a surge of optimism has shot through Britain with more people believing the country is going in the right direction and glad the UK has escaped the European Union. The transformation in attitudes uncovered by Ipsos Mori will strengthen Boris Johnson, with an overwhelming majority of Conservatives optimistic about the future. Today's positive polling comes in the wake of the successful rollout of the vaccination program and a series of aggressive moves by the EU, such as threats to curtail vaccine exports, which may have heightened Euroscepticism. Back in October, only 18% of people thought Great Britain was going in the right direction, with 53% saying it was going the wrong way. But optimists have now taken the lead for the first time since April 2020, with 41% saying we are heading the right way and just 36% thinking we are traveling in the wrong direction. 7:14 a.m. update. Scotland could be dragged back into the EU's nightmare CFP, warns insider. Brexit has given fishermen increased freedom, but there is great anxiety the industry in Scotland could be damaged if Nicola Sturgeon pushes to rejoin the EU. Throughout Brexit, fishermen criticized the European Common Fisheries Policy, CFP, and there is concern they could be dragged back into it, one industry insider has revealed. Speaking to Express.co.uk, Chief Executive of the National Federation of Fishermen's Organisations Barry Dees warned there was great concern the industry in Scotland could be harmed if Ms Sturgeon takes the country back into the EU. Commenting on the possibility of Scottish fishermen returning to the policy, Mr. Dees said, "I think there's great anxiety that the Scottish industry would be dragged back into the common fisheries policy." 7 a.m. update. Brussels shooting itself in the foot. Brussels is shooting itself in the foot, in a foolish attempt to punish the UK for Brexit, a think tank analysis has suggested, with exports to Britain falling far faster than to the rest of the world compared with last year. Facts for EU pored over figures supplied by the bloc's statistics department, Eurostat, and came up with some conclusions which will make uncomfortable reading for European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. With restrictions imposed to slow the spread of COVID-10 having impacted exports the world over last year, Facts for EU's investigation nevertheless uncovered a striking difference when comparing those from EU countries to the rest of the world, and to the UK. Between January 2020 and January 2021, exports to the rest of the world fell by 10.8%. However, during the same time frame, exports to the UK fell by 27.4%.